Previously, you learned how to use the ScrollView component to create a scrollable list of items in your React Native app. Recall that the ScrollView component does this by rendering all child components at the same time. While this provides a very useful functionality, it does also introduce the issue of slow rendering times for large lists. Fortunately, there is another approach that can enable faster performance. In this video, you will learn about the FlatList component, which can also be used to display scrollable lists in a React Native app. You'll come to know that in contrast to the ScrollView component, rendering time with FlatList is not affected by large lists, thanks to an approach called lazy rendering. You'll soon find out how it does that, but first, let's return to the Little Lemon app to demonstrate how FlatList can be useful. In addition to the text list of menu items, Adrian wants you to add an image of each item. This should be incorporated into the same list so that the user will see the image beside the item as they scroll through. In other words, the list will be much larger than before. Let's say you need to display 100 images in total. With a ScrollView component, the user would have to wait for all these images to load before they can experience the app as intended, and this could take quite a long time. So, what is the solution to this problem? React Native has another built-in component that can render large lists efficiently, the FlatList component. This component renders the items lazily. What does lazy rendering mean? Well, instead of rendering the entire list at once, it only renders the items of the list as soon as they need to appear on screen. In addition to lazy rendering, the FlatList component can take on the features of the ScrollView component. To better understand the benefit of lazy rendering, let's first revisit the ScrollView component. An app using this component would render all items in the list at once, regardless of whether or not they are on the screen at that moment. In contrast, with lazy rendering, items are only rendered when they are about to appear on the screen, and are removed when the user scrolls away from them. This results in faster rendering and superior performance. So, to render hundreds of images in the Little Lemon app, it will be much faster to use the FlatList component, as it will only render the images that are on the screen and are about to appear on the screen. The moment you scroll away from the images, the next set of images are rendered, and the previous set is removed. Isn't that neat? Now, let's examine the syntax for the FlatList component to find out how it can use ScrollView features in addition to its own. The FlatList component inherits all the ScrollView component's props. Notice that the example code has two props, data and render item. Both of them are required props of the FlatList component. The syntax for render item contains three elements. The item is an object that represents a single item from the data array that is passed to the FlatList. The index represents the unique index corresponding to the specific item. Finally, you can also pass the optional separators, which can be used to highlight or unhighlight items. In addition to data and render item, there are several other optional props that can be passed to the FlatList component to define the header, footer, separator, and many more. You will learn how to use FlatList with commonly used props by exploring an example of each. In this video, you learned about the FlatList component and why it is used. You also discovered that it is built into React Native and improves performance when rendering large lists. Finally, you've become familiar with what lazy rendering is and how this approach is used by the FlatList component to render large lists efficiently.